Welcome to today's class of Yoga for Athletes, or next iteration of Yoga for Athletes. It's going to be for cyclists. So we're going to do some things that, and try to stretch out some things that are usually compressed when you're cycling. So hands on your handlebars, shoulders forward. Usually got this big curvature in your spine, and a lot of front body compression. So we'll deal with that with some opening postures. And there's some things that you don't do in cycling that will just kind of reinforce are needed in the body. So there's some twisting that we'll do in today's class as well, and certainly some range of motion exercises that we're going to do just to maintain the range of motion that cycling doesn't quite take you through. So we'll start on our hands and knees. The props that you'll need today, if you do have them, books or blocks. If you have blocks, that's wonderful. We won't get higher than hands and knees or our seat. So if you'd like to take something a little more comfortable, maybe a blanket onto your mat or onto your floor, that might be a little more comfortable for your knees when we get there. And that's about it. Okay, so hands and knees. Now here I'd like you to tuck your toes and pick up your left hand, just roll your wrist around. Hands are gripping the handlebars, so we'll take even a few moments to open up the fingers here. And I'd like you to place the tips of your fingers on your mat, but then push your knuckles down. Keep them lifted, but try to push your knuckles down. And then place the back of your hand on your mat and push down through the back of your hand gently. We'll do the same thing on the other side, so place your left hand, spread your fingertips nice and wide apart so you got some good energy and strength built up in your hands here. And then roll your wrist a couple times one way, a couple times the other way. Place the tips of your fingers on your mat and push your knuckles, base knuckle down towards the ground while you move your wrist slightly forward. And then place the back of your hand on your mat. Push down into the back of your hand. Then place your right palm on your mat. If your wrists are sore, you can always move on to fists here. Let's spread your fingertips nice and wide apart, and on your next exhalation, round your back, pull your belly button up towards your spine. Lengthen down through the tip of your tailbone and bring your chin into that notch in your sternum. Inhale to lower your belly, lift your head. Inhale. And do that a few more times, flowing through cat lift and cat tuck with your breath. So exhale to round your back. And inhale to move your chest forward, lift your head and your bum. And then find a neutral point. Draw your belly button in. Extend your left leg, your right leg actually, towards the back wall. And lift your hip. So what's the range of motion for your hips? Pull your knee forward towards your right tricep, as high towards your elbow or as your shoulder as you can. Then bring it back down towards your left leg. Inhale to extend, lift your hip. Exhale, pull your knee forward and then down. And again, a few more times that way. So you inhale for the extension, the lift of your hip. And then bring your knee down on your exhalation. Forward and down on your exhalation. And then lower your knee. We'll do the same thing on the left side. Extend your left leg back and lift your hip on your in-breath. Pull your knee forward towards your shoulder and then back down. Inhale, extend and open. Exhale. And a couple more times here. And from here, I'd like you to walk your knees back once your left knee is on the ground. Walk your knees back, keep them underneath your hips. And I mentioned shoulders rounded forward in cycling, so we're going to push them back just a little bit. We'll do a few exercises like this, but first one is called puppy stretch. So walk your hands ahead of your shoulders. Slowly allow your chest to soften towards the ground. Your forehead might meet the ground gently as well. If your forehead doesn't quite come to the ground, just you can take a block underneath your forehead so the muscles of your neck can relax, or you can relax the muscles of your neck altogether and just let your head hang. And try to melt your chest towards the ground so you feel an increased compression in the backs of your shoulders here. Bring yourself all the way back up. Walk your hands just a little further back so they're underneath your shoulders. Move your shoulders again over top of your wrists if they're not quite there. Your knees can stay grounded, or with tucked toes, lift your knees off the ground, flex your quads. Take a breath in here and then move all the way down. Place yourself very gently. If there's any collapse, please put your knees down first. And then from here, I'd like you to extend your right arm off your mat. Pull your left hand in. Start to open your chest towards the left. Push into your left fingertips and cross your left foot over top of your right thigh. Now, option here to reach back with your right hand and grab hold, or left hand and grab hold of your left foot. So get a quad stretch here. And you can play with the position of your knee. Might be closer towards your inner right thigh for the stretch, or a little further away from it, your choice. Squeeze your inner shoulder blades a little closer towards each other if you can, so you're really awakening your back muscles. And then release. Bring yourself back onto your stomach and roll over onto your other side. So over onto your left side. I don't want to crush the mic here. Well, okay, I'm gonna have to take it off. Oy. Okay, keep your left arm extended. Work out very well. Take your right foot over your left thigh. If you did it on the last side, reach with your right hand back to grab hold of your ankle, and then pull your heel a little closer towards your bum and your thigh bone back. And release your foot. Roll onto your stomach. Push your hands into your mat. Bring yourself back up to all fours. And then from all fours, once I get my mic placed here, I'd like you to step your right foot forward. This is a total gong show now. What's that? Okay, come to all fours. Step your left foot forward. And this is a good time actually before your left foot even comes forward to grab some blocks or some height. Step your left foot forward. And then walk your hands back towards your right knee. Lengthen out your left leg and lift your toes. Now, instead of folding more deeply over your thigh, in a lot of cases that's what happens or what you get asked to do in this posture, I'd like you to keep your torso fairly distant away from your thigh and your hands placed in a way or with some height, enough height so you can pull your shoulders back. So again, waking up the back muscles in when you're cycling that have been kind of stretched passively for quite a while, shoulders rounded forward, so less space in your chest, but a lot of space in your back. So here I'd like you to reverse that by pulling your shoulders back, inner shoulder blades towards each other. Now pull your outer left hip back and move your chest forward. Try not to lose the strength of your back in the pose, but move your chest forward. And the last little piece of the puzzle is to tilt your left sit bone up. And you can reach back there. It's your own ass, so you can grab it. Pull your sit bone up. And all the while, with this increased tension in the back of your left leg, make sure your breath is fluid, your features of your face remain calm here. We'll just take about 3 more breaths. If you notice your shoulders are starting to creep up towards your ears, try to move your shoulders down so you feel that your neck gets a little longer here. And then walk your hands forward, put a bend into your left knee. And then just move the blocks for a moment and heel toe your left foot wider. It's another thing where when you're cycling, your knees are just going, your legs are going in the front plane, back plane of your body. So just walk your foot a little wider so get the more lateral opening in your hip. Now place your left hand on your thigh. If you're going to the outer edge of your foot like I have, make sure you flex your toes here. And turn towards your left leg, push your hand into your thigh. And again, just continue to wake up your back by pulling your inner left shoulder blade and right shoulder blade actually towards the middle of your back. And turn your gaze in the direction of your left shoulder. You can keep your left hand where it is or extend your left arm up towards the ceiling. Your right knee can stay where it is, or if your toes are tucked, lift your right knee off the ground. And if your knee is lifted. Lower your knee to the ground. Keep your left arm lifted. Next variation here of the pose is to bend your right knee. Reach back with your left hand to grab hold of your foot. Now again, just bending your knee might be enough tension here, but if you can reach back, that's the next option here. So either or. But lift up through your chest. Make sure you're still firm with the connection of your right hand. Roll or keep rolling your left shoulder back. And if you have your foot, release your foot and step back. And here, a couple of options. You can come back to that puppy stretch or melting heart stretch. If you'd like to go to downward facing dog, you can also take that option. And Karen will show that one. You'll get more length in the back of your legs there. You can make it a moving posture as well. You can pedal your heels up and down. And come back up to all fours or lower your knees. To come to all fours, step your right foot forward now. With your right foot forward, find your blocks. And walk your hands back towards your left knee. Lengthen out your right leg and lift your toes. So again, the intention here is not to move closer to your thigh, just keep a fair distance away from it. Pull your shoulders back so you feel more spacious across your chest, more strengthened through your back. And pull your outer right hip back. And just again, if you're moving deeper into the sensation, try not to move downwards, try to move forwards through your heart. You did on the last side. Again, you might have enjoyed it. Take your hand to your right butt cheek. Pull your, I could have inserted so many jokes there, but I'll leave them all out. Pull your right hip back. The right sit bone down. And then release your bum. If you had it, walk your hands forward, bend your right knee. Here, just move your blocks to the side. And walk your right foot a little wider. So again, your right knee is wider than your right hip here. If you did move to the outer edge of your foot, flexion of your toes, just to help keep your ankle and your knee stable, and then move your right hand to the inside of your thigh. Start to open your chest towards the right, pull your right shoulder back, and squeeze your left inner shoulder blade closer towards your spine as well. Now the options, extend your right arm up. Next variation was tuck your back toes, lift your left knee off the ground, so it's a strong flexion through your left quad. And then lower your back knee, keep your right arm lifted. Now the options, bend your knee. That in and of itself might be enough tension in the left side of your pelvis and thigh. But you can also reach back to grab hold of your foot. Now if the tension somehow gets all the way from your thigh into your face, you're probably in the wrong pose. So release your foot if that's happened. We'll just take a few more full breaths here. And release your foot. So step back. And again, the options are to take yourself into puppy stretch, walk your hands forward, allow your chest to melt towards the ground, forehead as well, or down dog. Come to all fours. And onto one hip, sweep your feet around, so we'll come onto our back. And once you're on your back, just recline all the way. Walk your feet back towards your bum. And a little bit of height might be helpful here underneath your bum. So even the high block, but I'll take the low block today, but either one I think would be fine. Now for the moment, keep your left foot on the ground. Lift your right leg up towards the ceiling and turn from your right thigh bone so your toes turn outwards, then they turn inwards again, turn outwards. Just kind of stir the head of your thigh bone in your hip socket loosening up all the muscles that do that. Then bend your knee when your toes are turned out the next time and cross your foot over to your left thigh and flex your toes. Now, try to relax the muscles around your pelvis here. So this is more just range of motion rather than really stretching a whole lot here. So when your hips aren't bearing weight, they can generally move through a broader range, and this goes for all your joints. But here, let's discuss our hips. So try to relax the muscle around your pelvis. Place your right hand on your inner thigh, and just give a push. Now for some of you cyclists, if you do have fairly open hips and you find that you can get more kind of push into your hip, your right hip, and you run out of length of arm, but you feel that you could push it even further safely, then you can take one of the blocks or a book again between your hand and your thigh and get a little more length in that way. This little sequence done pre-ride, post-ride, pre and post-ride if you got the time. Not a bad idea. It'll keep you running, or keep you, cycling. It'll also keep you able to recover faster, getting more blood flow into the joints, into the tissues. And it also helps to prevent injury. Now lower your right foot to the ground, extend your left leg up towards the ceiling, and turn your thigh bone outwards and inwards, outwards and inwards. And do that a few more times. When your toes are turned out, bend your knee and cross your foot over to your right thigh this time. And just take a moment, relax your pelvis intentionally. Take your left hand on your thigh, a little flexion of your toes here on the left side, and then push your hand into your thigh. And a good firm push. And I like to put the heel of my hand a little closer towards the top of my thigh bone, where the head of my femur, my thigh bone, meets the cup of my pelvis. Again, a good firm push there. No concern of injuring yourself doing that. There's a lot of muscles, a lot of connective tissue around your hips, so the joints are generally very, very stable joints. Certainly not impossible to dislocate your hip, but doing this, I think it probably is. Okay, lower your left foot. I'm going to get a little more height, so you can keep the height you have underneath you or push down into the ground, get a little more height underneath your pelvis, and extend one leg forward. So this is kind of the opposite body position, and this is how we're going to take Shavasana, but the opposite body position of your cycling position. So we're really open through the front body, compressed in the back body here. Now less compression if you keep one knee bent. If you feel that a back bend at this stage is certainly fine and safe for you, extend your right leg forward as well. Try to relax both legs, so just the weight of the legs hangs into the tissues in the front of your pelvis. So again, there's a passive stretch in the front body here. Tuck your shoulder blades in. So again, your back muscles, for the moment, help to stretch out the muscles in the front of your chest. And breathe deeply in through your nose, out through your mouth. And we'll be here not too long, but certainly don't endure for any length of time any pain. If you find that there is discomfort, you can lower to less height or even no height underneath your pelvis, or you can bend one knee, and in about 30 seconds or so, I'll just let you know to change legs. So if you have bent one knee, you got the sole of the foot on the ground, just switch legs. So extend that one and pull the other one in. Bend your knees. The soles of your feet come underneath your knees. Push down, take the block underneath away. When your bum touches back down, you can take one knee at a time or both at the same time and give yourself a little bit of a hug, or it can be a deeper one if you wrap your arms around your shins and bring your shoulders away from your mat. And then lower your feet, roll over to your right side. You can keep your right arm extended just so your head, for the few breaths that we're here, can rest just softly into your arm. And push into your left hand, bring yourself up, and then back to your seat or to a seat. Thank you very much for taking the time for this class, and hopefully it helps to support your riding. And we're getting into that time of year where there's a lot of you on the road, so please be safe. Namaste.